Guys, do you have any questions? So regarding yesterday's sessions, Rahul, I was sharing that recording yesterday itself. So did you get chance to go through it?
Yes, yes. I know this concept actually.
Oh, okay.
When,
Yeah.
I am aware of this concept actually. So,
Okay, fine. Tulsi, do you have any questions regarding yesterday's session? Tulsi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any questions?
No, Venkat.
Okay, good. If you have any questions, if you are stuck in somewhere else, just let me know. We'll connect your mission. We'll resolve that issue. Okay, no? Otherwise, every day we are introducing new concept. Every day we are introducing new concept, right? So then, if you're not practice, we'll stuck somewhere else while practicing. Actually, anytime if you get doubt or if you have any questions, then send me mail also. So I will see it and I will reply that one also. Or else you can talk in sessions also. So if you have any questions. No, otherwise, after end of the day, if you try to practice it, so then you will stuck somewhere else actually. Which component I have to use in the flow. So that type of questions will raise it actually. Okay. So yesterday, again I will just go through it. Same thing. So actually, in the expression, we have two types of components actually. So here expression itself two types of components means expression transformer is there, expression component is there actually. So difference is here even custom expression also there. So three types of expression related components are there. So we aware this one actually. Transformer means it will convert into uh, one format of data to another format of data. So then expression is not, it's a component. So then, so we can use that mule expression, mel expression. So we can get the data. So that whatever the payload we have, so from the payload we have to get some value. So before that we'll convert into hash map kind of thing. After that particular value you want to get it, or else total payload you want to get it. So like that we'll use expression actually. Or else if you want to get any query parameters from the URL, suppose in the URL you are sending URI parameters or else query parameters. So if you want to get query parameters from the URL, so that time you'll use expression actually. So it will support that MEL expression language. Using that MEL you can get it. So coming to here, so this is a transformer actually. If you see here transformer, so you can add single expression or multiple expression. Okay, so in this, if you see here, so there is a, I'm trying to convert whatever you are getting the data. So I'm trying to convert into some object type actually here. If you see in advanced type, so here three things we by default evaluator will come. So while adding expression and optional actually, if you see here there is a three types of tabs here. So first one is evaluator. If you fill that expression and then optional parameters, so automatically this evaluator will come. So what was the purpose of the evaluator? So when you add here, automatically that evaluator will come, core return statement. So then when you add expression and then when you add optional or it's mandatory, then automatically this will fill it actually. So here what was the use of this evaluator, core evaluator? So suppose in this case, in this particular scenario, I'm getting the two parameters from the query actually, from the URL actually. It's nothing but a query parameters. So message.inbound properties of hd.queryparams.name and city. So here I mentioned one is an optional, another one is it's nothing but if you not keep it anything, it's nothing but a true actually. If you see here in the evaluator how it was generating. So in the first case optional is true because you choose the checkbox. So that's why optional become a true. It's an optional parameter. Means next optional is false. Optional is false means I didn't choose any option here actually, so that's why it's a mandatory parameter. So compulsory you have to send that city from the query parameters. First we'll see optional, so then we'll see the mandatory also. So this is the use of this what we call this transformer, expression transformer. So you can check single expression or else multiple expressions also you can add it here. If you click plus symbol, you can keep on add it. So here editor, we can already existing expression you can edit. If you want to delete this expression, just select it and edit it, select it and delete it actually. So that way you can use these three symbols. For plus is you can add the new expression. So edit the expression and then delete the expression. Okay. So here also we can, I mean to say, so we can restrict actually. It's a mandatory field, optional fields kind of thing. So here in the core or written argument expression, you can restrict it. Just we'll see both the scenarios, mandatory and optional scenarios. I'm trying to just explain and deploy this application. Debug as my application. So payload size got 2 because 2 parameters we are sending. So after that I'm just converting to object to string. So this is an object only, but is in the form of string actually. Okay, so now I'm trying to keep it as mandatory field. Then let me see how it was. I'm just remove this city. So now see. So automatically it will apply after saving. Okay, it got deployed, started up. Next one is I'm just removing the city. See this? It was giving an error. So see how we'll check the error actually in the debugger. In the debugger, if you see here exception thrown, so caused by what? What was the cause it is? You can see clearly here expression evaluator null with expression message inbound properties dot city return null, but value was required. So what type of exception we are getting? org.mule.apa transformer transform exception we are getting. So what we'll do, so based on this, but this is a developer only understand this type of exception, right? Expression evaluator, but user doesn't understand. Generally, while entering the user, so this requesting coming from the some client, right? So we have to send back meaningful message actually. So if we are getting this type of exception, we have to analyze it in the exception handling, exception strategy. We have to catch this exception. Then in the exception, we have to write meaningful message based on this. That meaningful message will send back to the client. Boss, So these are issue. This is a mandatory field we are expecting, but you are not sending. That type of meaningful message we have to send it actually. So this one we have to catch this exception lag. So we'll see while doing exception strategy, exception handling session. So how we'll catch this exception, how we'll frame it, how we'll send back, we'll see. You are getting that. Generally, where you will use this type of scenarios in this type of even that URL is not. I mean, we are expecting the URL from the client, right? So means request from the client. So even we'll restrict that in the raml itself also. In the raml also we can keep it mandatory and optional phase, but if you don't want to handle that in the raml, we can restrict here also using this type of expression. We can keep it on optional, mandatory field we can restrict here also. So generally people will use while raml itself, because so this is after entering into the service we are restricting actually. But if you mention that optional and mandatory field in the raml, so in the starting of the application only we'll restrict it actually if you go for ram. So that is the difference. Hope you guys clear this expression. So similarly, this is a transformer actually. Similarly, expression also. Expression is nothing but a single expression. If you see here, so single expression, we'll write the single expression here. So in this case, we can write the multiple expression. In the advanced tab, we can add multiple expression. And then here advantage is we have a core evaluator also there. So that mandatory optional kind of thing evaluator is there. So but when you choose this transformer, first it will fill that evaluator, after that expression, after that optional or else mandatory tab will there, then we have to choose it actually. But in this case we have only one expression we have to write here. So then single one we have to do it here, single expression. So is it clear? That is about expression. Coming to this custom expression, so this expression we'll see while doing exception handling. So here we can add custom expression. Here also it will return what we called, so it will return exception message actually. Using that exception, we'll write to the we'll redirect to the exception strategy, then we'll work on it. 1 second guys. Okay, sorry guys. Oh, do you have any questions on this expression, both of you?
No, Venkat, right.
Okay. Okay, so next one is scope related actually. So we'll see that scope related. So here we have a different types of variables in the MuleSoft. So one is flow variable. So next one is session variable and record variable. Three types of variables we have. So first one is variable. It's nothing but a flow variable. Second one is session variable. Third one is record variable actually. So frequently used these two only. We are not using this record variable. So session variable and variable. Even session variable also it's not recommended actually. Why? Because when you define the session variable, that's keep on available in your all flows actually. Either it's a subflow or else private flow or else main flow. So yesterday I was explaining this clearly what was the difference between the flows. Three types of flows we have. So one is subflow, another one is main flow, another one is private flow. So here if you see here, this is, we can say, this is a main flow actually. So it's each and every flow, it's a combination of message process. Message process means whatever the component, either it's a transformer or else scopes or else components, whatever. It's nothing but a message process. End of the day we can call it as a message process. So it's a flow is nothing but a combination of message process. We have so three types of flows. So first one is main flow. Main flow, next one is subflow, next one is private flow. So the difference is main flow contains both inbound parameter as well as outbound parameters, and then it have own exception strategy. And then each and every main flow should be unique name actually. It should be unique name. That is a main flow. It should contain the inbound parameter as well as outbound parameter as well as all the components. What are the components we are going to use, that component. Then it's have own error handling part. whatever the sorry, whatever the whatever the issue happened in the flow, so that will come back to the error handling. Here we have to handle the error handling actually. So any issue happen in the flow, that will by default it will come to here. Here we have to catch that exception, then we have to handle accordingly. So this is nothing but a main flow. So coming to subflow, so coming to subflow, so in the subflow that doesn't have any error handling part actually. So the subflow is depend upon the main flow. So in the main flow we can call it using that flow reference. Drag and drop the subflow also. This is a subflow. Okay, so this doesn't have any error handling strategy. So this is depend on main flow actually. So how we'll call this in the main flow? Using flow reference. There is another component called flow reference. Using that flow reference we can drag and drop that flow reference. So in the flow reference we have a drop down will come. In the drop down we have to choose that subflow. So that subflow name we have to reference it actually. We have to refer it. So that time what happened, whenever cursor will come here, it will jump to the subflow. So then it will execute. Then it will come back to the main flow. So that is a happen in the main flow. So then here is the thing. It doesn't have any error handling part actually. Any issue happen in your subflow, so then that information, that error handling, so we have to handle here itself actually. It will come to the main flow. In the main flow, whatever the error handling is there, here we need to handle it. We have to catch that exception again. We have to handle accordingly. Okay. So generally when you use that, so what was the best way to create the mule flow? So see, whatever the flow we are creating, that should have a unique name. That's the first thing. So next one is when we will go for subflow. So wherever the common requirement or else frequently used things like so we are going to create an application. Okay, multiple people are working on that application, means different services. So in this application commonly used things are, there is a database connection. So while creating we have to create only once the database connection. So whoever want that database related thing, they will use that subflow, they will work on it actually. So that type of features, that type of common related things we have to implement using subflows actually. So the database thing. So then another one is not only wherever the common things actually, database connections one thing. Another one is suppose we are getting some byte array input stream from the byte array data from the Salesforce or some target system. We have to convert into normal format. So that will use several people, right? Mostly somewhere else also we have to use wherever the response coming from the target. So we have to convert in proper way, then we have to send back to the client. So that type of, it's nothing but, so that is a common thing, right? So multiple times we are getting response from the target system. So that time what happened? So we have to keep it into subflow. Then subflow, whenever you want the subflow, just call it, then get the response. Then converting to proper format, that logic already done in subflow. So that will give the proper message actually. So that type of requirement will go for subflow. Okay, and then subflow also should be nickname, we have to keep it. Then but in the subflow we can't call other subflow actually, so that will kill the performance actually. So one hierarchy only we should follow actually. So there is a main flow, then in the main flow we have to keep it one subflow, then we have to call back actually. I mean, based on that using reference we have to call that subflow. But in the subflow we can't call other subflow actually. So that will cause a performance. People sometimes, I was seeing somewhere else, so people are using subflow again calling another subflow. So you can see the document also, how what was the better way to design the mule flow, right? So in future we have to avoid this type of all performance issues actually. So performance tuning, so that time you have to remove that all the subflows also again. So that's why while creating a flow, that time you have to uh, think all these things actually. You have to concentrate all these things. Okay, so that is about subflow. So here is the thing, difference is there is no own error handling part. So any issue happen here, it will come back here. Here we need to handle it actually. So that is about subflow. So next one is private flow. Private flow is it's nothing but a main flow only, but difference is there is no inbound connector in that actually. So that is nothing but a private flow. And then one more thing is it have own error handling feature. Okay, see here source is there and process is there. It's kind of main flow only, but you can't keep it any source here. You will directly use in process. You can drag and drop in the process. We won't mention that anything source here, because this private flow will call by somebody else, that main flow, right? So that's why you can't mention the source here. So difference is it have own error handling part. So no need to depend on that main flow itself. Anything issue happen in this private flow, so we'll use this error handling. We'll implement that logic accordingly. So we have to catch that exception. Then we have to redirect to the proper error message to the user. So that is the difference. So between these main flow, then subflow, then private flow. So do you have any questions related to flows?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
So can you explain me one more flow variable actually? So why the source is not there actually? So why we are not putting source in the flow?
Private flow, no? Rahul, you are talking about private flow, no?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, why source is not there? So in sometimes, so if you use subflow, the error handling part is generally each and every application exception handling is a main part actually. Once your application is done, once your service is done, next we have to concentrate on the exception handling actually. We have to do proper exception handling. You are always, we are the middleware people, right? So your application always give proper error code and proper error message. It should not return 500 actually. It should always, even the server down from the third party or else any issue happen in the third party, it always give proper error code and proper error message actually. So that's why exception handling is the, it will play main role in the application once you done the service actually. So that's why, see here, if you use subflow, you can use the subflow and then we can implement it actually. But whereas if you use subflow, it doesn't have any own error handling strategy. So that's why we'll go for private flow. Whatever the logic in that logic, whatever they implement that logic in the private flow, anything issue happen, it will come to its own exception handling. But it won't depend on the main flow actually. So that's why we sometimes will go for private flow only, because uh, we already implement so many exception strategies here. Why again we go back and then we are depending on the main flow. So whatever that happen in that logic, private flow logic, so that should handle by itself. So that's why sometimes we prefer that private flows. Apart from that, nothing. There is no difference. So coming to your question, there is no source. If you keep it a source, that becomes a main flow. That's not a private flow actually. That's why we won't mention any source. We'll mention only process. Process means your logic. So that private flow,
I got you.
will call this main flow actually.
Fine.
Okay. So that's depend on your customization, depend on your client requirement actually. Based on that, we'll choose the main flow, sub flow, then private flow. Okay, so that's the thing about the flows. Next one is coming to variables. So we'll use frequently use two types of variables. One is flow variable, another one is session variable. So coming to flow variable, so this is a HTTP connector, we are aware already. So this is a variable. So we just drag and drop from the palette flow variable. You can type the variable here, we'll get it. So generally, what was the purpose of the variable? So generally, not only MuleSoft, any language, to hold the data, right? It will hold the data. We'll use in future. So just we'll hold it on the variable. So that variable name we'll use it in the flow wherever it will require. We'll use that variable. Okay, here I just drag and drop that variable. So in the variable I mentioned, I just hard coded it actually, but it will come as a dynamic also. So in the payload, from the payload we can take it as a dynamic. In this case, in this scenario, I just mentioned as a, so variable is, and then one more thing, it should be unique name actually. Wherever you use variable or else session variables and then expressions, it should be unique name actually. Why? Because in the flow, wherever you want, we just call it actually. Either it's an expression or either it's a flow variable or a session variable or else any component, we have to keep it as a unique name. Okay, why? Because based on that unique name only, we are going to call that particular variable or else any component. Okay, so here I just hard coded as a variable value. Variable name is f variable. Variable values we can get it as a dynamically also. It will support Mule expression language, MEL. We can get the value from the payload or else message or else, so it's depend on that your customization. Then here as of now I just hard coded. So my variable value is flow variable value. Then one more thing here. So if you see here encoding or else MIME type. MIME type setting. So this is each and every component have this type of feature actually. So MIME type is, so what type of value you are going to give next level. You can choose here actually. Next one is encoding. If you want to do encoding, so we have to choose one type of encoding format. So we'll give it to the next level. So these MIME type of settings for each and every component is there. So here is after drag and drop that variable. So by default it won't select any radio button. We have to click the radio button. I will show you once again. I will drag and drop this one. I just drag and drop this variable here. So see this, by default it won't select any radio button. So based on your requirement, either you want to remove the variable or else either you want to set the variable. Remove the variable means already in your flow variable is there. I don't want to push next level that variable name. So then you can remove that actually. You can remove, then we have to give the name of that variable name, that unique name. So based on that unique name, it will remove that variable. So you want to set it, then you have to choose this set variable. Then you have to give proper unique name. So then next one is we have to give, you want to get the data from the payload or else you want to hard code it based on your requirement actually. You have to choose that. Is it clear? Two operations, either you want to set the variable or else either you want to remove the variable from your flow. Okay, so in this case I just hard coded the data. So next one is, this is nothing but, remember, this is nothing but a flow variable. The scope of the flow variable is, it's only that flow and then calling flow also, so that's subflow also. So means here I am trying to here I was creating a variable. The scope of this is only within the flow, and then wherever you are calling the subflows, in the subflows also the scope will available. Means it will available wherever you want. You can call it either it's a subflow or else it's a main flow. But where it is not available, so where it is not available, so any endpoint will come. Any endpoint will come. Any endpoint means any other third-party system will hit it. Then after that we'll call other flow. So that is not available actually. You are getting. So the scope of the variable is within the flow, and then with wherever you call in the subflows or provide flows. So it is available actually. But where it is not available, when you hit the third party system, or else when you hit any endpoint, after that it won't available actually. After that you are doing some logic, so that variable it won't available. You are getting. So next one is, I'm just displaying a logger, the value I'm trying to display. So see here how we'll retrieve the value. So flow vars of that web variable. Flow vars of that web variable. While typing also it will show you flow vars. See this flow vars of f variable. Clearly how many variables are available, it will show to you. Flow vars of flow vars dot f variable. Like that also we can get it actually. Flow vars of f variable. Coming to session variable. So this is the displaying part, how to retrieve the data from the flow variable. Next one is session variable. Session variable is we have to drag and drop this session variable. So the difference is, definition is same only. We have to define same way, s variable, session variable value. Next one is calling is bit different actually. So how will call? So this is the both I'm trying to call it here. So first one is flow vars, next one is session vars. For calling session variable, you have to use session vars of that particular variable. So for flow vars dot that particular variable. This is a way to retrieve the data from the variables after defining. So here this is a hard coded actually. This is a hard coded. Then this is a dynamic value. This is again hard coded. This is a dynamic value. It will support according to Mule expression language. It will merge it actually. It will append it, that hard coded and the dynamic. It will append it. Okay. So I was trying to display that information into the logger. So next one is, here I kept VM. Okay. So VM is, it's kind of one component, virtual machine VM. I'm giving some queuing path actually. It's kind of JVM actually. We are trying to push that information into queue. Okay, why I'm using here? I'm trying to keep some endpoint here, so because the scope I want to check it, each and every variable scope I want to check it. That's why I just kept a testing purpose. I just kept a endpoint, one endpoint here. So when I keep it here, so the queue path is queue path is this one, right? What was the queue path? So VM queue variable, that is a queue path. What happened here? So when I keep it like this, when I keep it endpoint, right? So it will call automatically. Here another flow is there. It's nothing but other flow. When you keep it a VM, that is our endpoint queue name. So same name you have to here, you have to give it here. So that automatically it will call to here actually. So both queues are same. Means what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to keep it, whatever the payload I'm getting, I'm trying to keep it in a queue path, I'm trying to insert in the queue. After that, I'm subscribing that queue. So that time what happened, you are keeping in data into the queue, then again you are subscribing, then automatically your next flow will trigger because that message is available in the queue. That message is available in the queue. So we already subscribed that queue path. So that's why again once that is done, this operation will trigger. This operation will trigger automatically. Again I'm trying to display the data here, set the payload. In the set payload I'm trying to display both in different flow varies, then session variable. So means in this case I'm trying to find out what was the variable is available still in the other flow also. Means after endpoint there's nothing but that VM is nothing but an endpoint, right? After endpoint is that flow variable is available or not, I'm checking. Similarly session variable is available or not checking. I mean available or not, I'm checking here. You're getting that. So because of scenario only, I'm trying to add this endpoint. This is nothing but one endpoint, right? One outbound endpoint. It's nothing but so queuing mechanism. If you want to insert the data into queue, then you have to use this VM. So many components are there. So based on your requirement, you will use active MQ or else rabbit MQ or else SQS, Amazon SQS. So many queuing mechanisms are there. But in this case, but testing purpose, I just add one endpoint. So after that, I'm testing actually that variable still is available or not. Okay, we'll test it. We'll deploy it and we'll test what variable is available, what variable is not available. Debug as mail application. This is a I mean certification question actually. Scope is okay. Now see in the debugger we can see variable clearly. Here is the option, right? Inbound, your whatever the inbound we are getting, so that inbound we can see here. Next variable, see here. So we have a separate tab for variables. The variable we can see here. So if you set properly, if you set clearly, I mean everything is good, fine. So it will display variable value here. It will display how many variables we define, the flow variables. You can see here itself, flow variable value. Next one is outbound is not there, session also not there as of now. Let's see, I'm trying to hit next processor. Okay, I'm defining session variable. Now see session variable previously empty. Now here's the value is the session variable value. It's a flow variable and the outbound is not there, then session variable. So two variables we have. What was the payload? We are not sending any data, so that's why payload is an empty null payload. Okay, so next one is I'm trying to call this endpoint, let's see. Okay, endpoint is calling. Next one, it will jump to, how it will jump to this subflow. So this other flow, I'm not calling any subflow, I'm not doing anything for this. How it will call it actually, because of that subscription. So we just here is the in the VM, so there is a queue path is there. We are trying to insert data into queue path queue. Same thing we are mentioning. Once the data is available, so it will trigger. So because based on the path, based on the queue name, you can say. So now see what are the variables are available. Up to here, what was the payload? Null payload. Okay. So now see payload is, what was the payload here? You can see in debugger mode in different flow. Flow variable is null, but session variable is there. You're getting right. So these two variables we define before the endpoint. So flow variable got null after the endpoint, but session variable is still there. That is the difference actually. The scope of the flow variable is only within the flow, right? So wherever you're calling the subflow also that is available, but where it is not available, if you keep it any endpoint, after that endpoint it won't available. But whereas in session variable, so whole flow is there and the subflow is there, as well as all the flows actually where you define in your application wherever the flow is available. So that variable, that session variable is keep on available. But it's not recommended by unnecessary memory. So where really your code demands, that time will go for session variable. Otherwise you can use flow variable. Okay. Suppose I will remove that endpoint. Let's see how it will behave. You can keep it as a flow, then we'll check it. I'm just removing this. And then it also will remove. It's not able to provide for them. So then we'll keep it some flow reference here. Okay, how will you keep relation between these two? So what is a variable access and scope flow? That is a flow name. This is a flow name. Okay, now we'll see. So according to our discussion, these two available, right? Variable and session variable both should available. Let's deploy. Let's go deploy it. Okay, so this is the flow reference. Let's see, it should jump to here. Oh, we're calling same flow. Variable access and scope flow. What was the problem here? So I'm calling same flow, that's why it's keep on repeating. Okay, see now see this, it will jump to the subflow. Now see the payload. see this, the payload, so both are available. Flow variable is available, session variable is available, because we are not using any endpoint here. So that's why, so even it will available main flow as well as subflow. So not only subflow, it's if you call any private flow also it will available. This is nothing but a subflow, right? Subflow, and it's a nothing but private flow because there is no source is there. Okay, so that is the difference between variable and flow, session variable and flow variable. Guys, do you have any questions regarding this? This is an important question actually. So,
No, Anchor, I don't have any.
see this flow. Can you observe this flow? The image below is variable or session variable, and if variable or flow variables, right? What variables are available to the message point A? What was the answer for this? So can you observe the flow? So this is a HTTP connector, you can say. In this HTTP
Okay.
connector, this is one flow. HTTP connector. In that I create one session variable and then other one flow variable I created. Here I am calling endpoint. Okay. So from the endpoint it will jump to the other endpoint, right? What we did just now, what we did same way. Next one is here S2 I added, F2 I added. He was asking at particular point A. Point A means here from the back, right? Well, send back to the response. Here in this particular point A, what was the variables are available? What are the variables available?
S1,
Hmm?
two.
What was the answer for
One
that?
is S1.
Which one? You are clear the question, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What was the answer?
Only session variables are available because after the endpoint,
Hmm. That's what. Give me the answer. S1, F1, S2, F2. Total 4 variables we defined, right? So what were the variables are available? S1, F1, S1 only available, or else S1, S2 available, S1, S2, F1 available, S1, F1, S2,
S1,
F2. S1,
S1, S2 will be available. S2.
S1, S2 available. Huh?
Yes.
What about this F1?
as
No, that were actually that is logger, I think.
F1 is nothing but a flow variable, right? After endpoint, the flow variable is not.
Okay. This is the interview question actually. So those are things. So any questions we have?
So what is the answer actually? What is the answer?
Answer is that only. Answer is S1, S2, F1 also available, because F1 also available. So here, if you try F1 here, it won't available actually. Do you get my point,
Okay.
right? F1, if
In,
you try here, it won't available. After endpoint, it won't available, but we are displaying here itself, right? Did you get it? In our scenario, in the set payload, where you are displaying set payload, after your endpoint you are displaying. That's why your F1 is not available here. But in this flow it is available. You are getting my point. That's why answer is S1, S2, F1. This is the answer. Just try yourself. What I'm saying here, S1 anyway it's available, S2 anyway it's available. So there is no doubt in that, right? Because it's a session variable. Wherever
yes.
you, whether it's an endpoint or it's not there, it will available. Coming to F1, why F1 is available here? F1, if you try F1 here after endpoint, it won't available here, but we are trying here itself, right? We're trying to display in the endpoint one itself, means main flow itself. but in this available, we are not trying after the endpoint. We are trying within the endpoint, right? So that's why it's available. In the main flow, it's available. Just take the scenario and then execute it. So the answer is S1, S2, F1. Okay, now?
Okay.
Okay, fine. That is the thing today. So do you have any questions?
Ankit, regarding the queue,
No.
we are saying into variables in the queue, right? Is there any configuration required? You want to save the data into
Sorry, I'm not getting. Configuration for what?
regarding the queues, because we are saving
Yeah.
data into queues, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, here we're not. I mean, there is a separate session for queues actually. So here, I'm for testing purpose only. I just kept endpoint. So here, coming to your question, yes, there is a configuration actually. First, we have to create that queue in the queuing mechanism. Suppose you have to install that ActiveMQ. That is a freeware actually. We just download and you can install in your machine ActiveMQ or else RabbitMQ. Both are freeware only. So just download and install in your local. Then after that we have to start that. We have to start the ActiveMQ or else RabbitMQ. Similarly Amazon SQLs also, we have to start it. Then after that here we have a components. So for each and every mechanism there is a separate components. For SQS we have a separate mechanism. See, for Amazon SQS, Amazon SQS have separate queue connector for connecting that queuing mechanism. So in this we have a configuration, what type of operation you are going to use it. So that type of, you want to create a queue or else you want to insert a queue or else you want to retrieve the queue. So that type of mechanism actually. So all operations. Similarly we have suppose if you want to insert some other queue, ActiveMQ or else RabbitMQ. So here is another connector, EMQP. EMQP is for ActiveMQ. So here is the configuration again here. So here is the configuration. So ActiveMQ. So this is a configuration. We have to first we have to do that operation, back-end operation, like you have to install the queuing mechanism. You have to create the queues also. Then coming back to here, we have to add it. Queue name we have to add it. Exchange also you have to add it. Then any routing key based on your configuration. While creating the queue, that time you will choose some operations, right? So based on that we have to choose the configuration. Queue is durable. After creating, after send back to the response, you want to delete queue or delete the message or else you want to keep it. So the type of operations you have to do here actually configuration. Similarly, we have any point MQ also there series. So many queue mechanisms also. MuleSoft itself provide any point MQ. So there is one more queuing operation. So based on your client prefer actually, which one our architect will finalize, right, which queuing mechanism we are going to use. So based on that we have to use which connector we have to use based on your queuing mechanism. Yes, coming to your question, there is a configuration is there. We have to set that configuration. Okay. So we'll discuss. There is a, we have a separate session further. So how to insert the data, I will show you. I will show you how to insert the data, how to retrieve the data.
Venkat,
Yeah,
one more thing.
yeah. Tell me.
Can we use the HTTP connection configuration into different projects? The same connection.
See connection.
Yeah, we are creating when introducing business connection configuration.
Hmm.
Right. Can we use the same connection into different services? Same HTTP.
Same HTTP. That's what actually what we'll do exactly. Same connection you can use, but actually here one more concept is there. That is a domain project, Mule domain project. While creating a project, so there is a Mule project, and similarly Mule domain project is there. So coming to your question, yes, we should use like that only. So see, first we have to create a domain project. Whatever the common properties, right? we can't keep every time this HTTP configuration each and every service actually. That we have to keep it into a domain project, right? In the domain project, we have to keep it this configuration, whatever this local host and port number, whole things we have to mention in the domain project. So what we'll do, we have to mention only path should be different. Apart from that, this should be common for all the application, all the services. You are getting right. All the services we can use same thing, but path should be different. Otherwise, it will give some error actually, because it should be different. It should be unique. So that time what happened here, we mentioned HTTP listener configuration 3 because we create a local host and then port number, right? But coming to your domain project, we have to choose that actually. If you create already domain, that will always refer to the domain level actually. No need to create multiple times, only one time you have to create it, so that each and every service will call to the domain. So from the domain it will take address and then it will take the port number, but path should be different. But coming to your question, if you mention each and every component, every service, if you mention same configuration, it will give error like a address already bind. That type of error it will give.
Yes,
Might be
sir.
you will
Like
face.
mentioning
Yes.
address already
Yes,
bind.
yes. That means you are already using that address. That's why you can do like this actually. You have to change that address that time. You have to change this address.
Yeah, exactly.
Or else otherwise use same that, but the time here it will drop down will come. Did you observe? The drop down already you defined previous configuration, right? Choose the previous configuration. Just change the path here. That time it will work for you. It won't give an error. But you can't create one more configuration. Don't click the plus second time. Already drop down it will appear within your project. If you create a multiple configuration files, say it's a based on requirement, you can create multiple configuration files actually. Here I created 3 configuration files, right? Each and everything is different port number, different base path actually. Suppose if you want to use same port number, same address, that time you have to choose the drop down, whatever you defined first time, right? That we have to choose it. That only you have to choose it. But base path should be changed. That it will work. But coming to real-time scenario, it should not like this. We have to create a domain project. Okay. In the domain project, whatever you are going to create that local host and port number, that you have to keep it in a domain level. So that here we won't create any configuration again. In the drop down it will come. There is a relation between parent child kind of operation actually. That project is nothing but a parent. This is the child project actually. So that time that domain name will come here. That domain name will choose here. So it will always refer to that whenever HTTP connector is there. That will refer to your domain project. Not only HTTP configuration, wherever the common properties, like suppose you mentioned like you are using some anypoint MQ, that is anypoint MQ configuration is the common for all, right? So that type of common properties will push it to the domain level. So whoever want to use that configuration, they will retrieve from the domain, they will use it actually. That is the use of
So
domain.
we can use that in our particular, connector in global elements, no?
Yeah,
Like that?
yeah. That's what. Either you can use a global also you can use it actually. See this, whatever you define that will coming as a global. Either way. So global you can define it. Either it's a mule domain project you can push it. So
Okay.
this global is within your application, right? Within your
Yes.
application. Suppose I have one more application I have. Suppose here day 2 is the one application. Day 3 is another application. If we define a global element, the scope is within this application, day 2 application only. I want to call
Okay.
same thing in the day 3 also. That time it won't available. But if we define in a real domain project, in the day 3, day 4, day 5, whatever the application it is available. That is the difference.
Okay.
Okay. So that is a thing. So okay, fine. So I will share the recording. Then I will share this POC. I guess this POC is already shared. I will share this recording once done. Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys.